Blog Talk Radio.
All aboard! The Clio Exchange Express is leaving the station. Welcome to the Clio Exchange Express, a conversation about the past, present, and future. A lively discussion between friends, family, pundits, personalities, and potentates, if necessary, in order to teach and learn something new. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the hour. Let's go to the show already in progress. Well, I tell you, hi there, this is Lou Phillips. Welcome on board the Clio Exchange Express. I'm one of your host conductors for the day, and we're heading out on another life journey, a journey that will educate, inform, and inspire. I'm joined by two co-conductors, George Chandler in London and Rudy Rollins in the desert oasis of Las Vegas. Cheerio, George. What's going on in London?
How you doing, Lou? It's good to be on the Express again. London is kind of chilly tonight when it's kind of rainy. So I would say it's a very typical London day for this time of the year. Okay, beautiful. Now, I'm waiting. I looked around to my left and I looked to my right, and I don't see him, Lou. You know who I'm talking about.
Hey, man, you tell me I'll be right back. Hey, what's up, guys? Man, you know what, man? Let me tell you something, man. This Las Vegas is killing me, man. Cat just won my shoes, man. Joker took my shoes, man.
Well, Rudy,
I'll get back to him later. How you guys doing, man?
All right, brother. All right. Well, you got to be careful out in Vegas. You know that.
It's hot in the desert, man, but boy, I'm ready for the ride. Everybody ready?
I'm all ready, Rudy. Well, listen, Rudy, it's so wonderful to have you join us once again, and we always love the way you enter the room. I tell you, it's just a thrill.
Yeah, man, with no shoes, man, no fun though, Lou.
I understand. Well, listen, why don't we just kind of move forward a little bit into something that has become a tradition for us, and that's to try to come up with the wisest little cracks that we can deliver. So I got a question for you guys, and see if we can turn it into something that's fun. Okay?
All right, I'm ready.
All right. Tell me this: why don't you tell secrets in the garden? Why don't you tell secrets in a garden?
I don't have a clue.
I don't either.
Well, I tell you, because corn have ears, potatoes have eyes, and beans talk. What do you think of that?
I like it. Let me ask, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Why do fish live in salt water?
Because it's tasty?
No, because pepper makes them sneeze.
That's a British joke, isn't it?
all of my jokes have a touch of English humor to them. You probably noticed that.
I know you got a double laugh on that. So what about you, Rudy? You got anything?
No, man. I'm my shoes, man.
All right, well, I got you. Okay, well, now
I have one. I have one more.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, George.
Yeah. Why do giraffes have long necks?
To reach to the top of the tree.
No, because they have smelly feet.
I need a little help laughing on that one. That's very good. I tell you guys, now that we've rocked the house with our comedy routine, let's get a little closer to meeting our guest passenger for today. But before I introduce him, let me tell the listening audience that we'd like for you to participate in the discussion, and you can do so by calling 646-716-7070. or you can call in toll-free at 855-414-6521. Again, you can join the conversation beginning at 7:25 by calling 646-716-70 or toll-free at 855-414-6521. Now, that's an indication of something. And that indication is that before we bring our guest out, we want to do a little trivia stuff. Okay, fellas?
Sounds good to me.
All right. George, can you name a couple of hit records or stars related to our guy, our special guest for today?
Yes, I'll tell you. Our guest has been involved with so many fantastic groups. But the one that instantly comes to mind for me is the Impressions. And of course, when you say Impressions, you also say Curtis Mayfield.
Beautiful, beautiful. How about you, Rudy?
Yeah, well, the truth I have is there was a group somewhere in the 70s. It was a very popular group, and they didn't have the same name that they end up with. And Eddie was instrumental in changing that name, and the name of that group is Lakeside.
Lakeside, yes, indeed. I remember that group. And as far as I'm concerned, my favorite performer that was in our guest universe of stars, I guess, was Donny Hathaway. I always thought, man, he was such a great talent, and even in my preacher role now, I still have to pat my feet to This Christmas and I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know. I tell you, it was just such a wonderful piece of experience that was delivered out of Chicago, and our guest had an awful lot to do with that. And so I tell you what, fellas, what do you think? We just move toward bringing our guest on board, do you think?
That sounds like a winner to me.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring into the conversation a man who has been known for decades as being the Chicago music man. He's the co-founder of Curtom Records and master hitmaker of many platinum and gold albums and singles. If you think of a hit or an act from back in that day who called Chicago home, you can almost be assured that his hands touched them in one way or another. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like for you to please welcome on board the Clio Exchange Express, Mr. Eddie Thomas. Mr. Thomas, how are you, sir?
We've had so many accolades and kudos. I said, wait a minute, who are they talking about first, okay?
Yeah.
Clarify when you say Donny Hathaway, well, he definitely was part of us, very much so. I thank all you guys for having me on this beautiful program. I'm so happy to be here and to give what I can contribute to inspiring, hopefully tell somebody they can make it if they try, and just give them all the hope I can.
Well, that's wonderful, Mr. Thomas. You know, and I've spoken with you several times today and had the pleasure of speaking with you in your home a couple of years ago in Chicago, and it was just an honor then, and it remains so today. And I'd like to kind of get the conversation started, if you don't mind, and kind of get
ahead.
Okay, sir, and kind of get you to think back in the day. As I recall, you were working at the post office, and back in the 50s, early 60s, that was a pretty prominent job to have in the community. In fact, folks envied most people who worked at the post office. So my question is, what motivated you to leave the security of working for the post office to go into a high-risk business like the music business?
Well, let me say this. The post office, you said is true. It's very clear and positive and secure. And I thought it was great for me, and I looked way on my way. Now, during that time period, back in the day we're talking about, my mom was only working, had the one job. She worked running the elevator. She's making about $35 a week, and I said to myself, I'm helping her what I can with my paycheck from the PO, but I could use a part-time job, which would even be better in helping us what we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So I shopped around, and I found a job at the Shapery. Shapery was the place during that time for all the entertainers of big-time stature. Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Tony Curtis, all the big stars came there. I can't even say how many there were. So I got a job parking cars at night.
Parking cars.
Okay, my pride. See, I'm blessed in a way. I don't have a pride. I don't have an ego, and I'll do whatever's necessary to do what you got to do to get over. So now I'm parking cars at the Shapery at night, and that one evening a singing group came over from Cabrini Green. They called themselves the Medallionaires. They asked me that they wanted to see the manager because they liked to be on the show. I think at that time Sammy Davis Jr. was appearing at the Shapery. Mm-hmm. So since I was the only dark shadow over there, they came to me. They didn't want to go inside to the manager because they didn't want to take a chance on that. So they came over to me, introduced themselves to the Medallionaires one by one, and met them all individually. And they asked me could I assist them and get hooked up with the manager. Mm-hmm. I told them, I said, I think you need to have a tape or a demo or something. We just can't go in and say you're the Medallionaires. He has to hear something. So they agreed, and they said they would go back. Now, they were from Cabrini Green. They said, we'll go back to Cabrini Green, rehearse and make the tape, but that's what I come over and help them if I could. Mm-hmm. Now, this is how my feet got wet at the very beginning of fooling with music at all. I didn't know anything about music.
Okay.
So I went to their rehearsal, Cabrini Green, and they had a couple songs, Magic Moonlight, and I forget the other song, but that was the big song. I thought it was good. Mm-hmm. They made a tape. They weren't ready for the Shapery. And I went back to them, told them, so the manager said, you guys are good, but he needs to have a video or something that shows your experience. So here comes a talent show. I said, great, this would be a good chance to tape this here and take it back and show it to the guy, and they can also hear them perform. That's what I told them, by the way.
Right,
so at this talent show, the Roosters came in first place. They were awesome. They had a great sound, great performance, great choreography. They were just great. And my group, the Medallionaires, came in second. So after the show was over, we all shook hands. We were talking, and the Roosters came over to me and said, we need a manager, too. We don't have a manager. I said, you kidding me? He said, no. I said, well, I have a group already that I'm working with called the Medallionaires. He said, well, you can work with us, too. In this group, the Roosters, was Curtis Mayfield, Jerry Butler, Sam Gooden, and two brothers, Arthur Brooks and Richard Brooks. They were the two Brooks brothers. That was the Roosters.
Beautiful.
Now I said, there, you guys got a great name. I said, you want me to manage you? I'll do the best I can. I said, but first we'll have to get a name. I said, the Roosters doesn't have any sound, anything going for you. I can't see you in the marquee with the Roosters appearing here.
Name the Roosters.
Right. So when I met you, I was very impressed with your performance. I mean, it was great performance because during that era, doo-wop was the big thing. They never sang doo-wop at all. They had a great smooth sound. The background sound of the orchestra was real great. I said, how about impressions? And they liked it. Yeah, impressions. Great. So that's how we got the impressions.
Beautiful.
That's how we got started.
That's a great story. George, you got something?
Yes, Eddie, it's good to hear your voice again.
Oh, George, you go ahead and kick me. Come on, I'm ready.
I want to ask you, when you were asked to manage these groups, you had no management experience at all. And how old were you at this time?
Oh, I must have been about 23, 24, 25 years old. I was green. I was green as leaf on a tree. I was strictly green. But since I was just starting in the business and they were starting also, it was great for all of us, great experience for all of us. And that's how I got into it. And I became the manager. Now, I still didn't know about contracts, what I should do about copyrights, publishing.
Yeah.
I was blank. You know, I had to attend a perfect school for that called the School of Hard Knocks.
There you
that
go.
means every mistake you make, you pay for it. So you remember it, okay?
I think it's fair to say that most artists and big people in the music business, they learn it at the School of Hard Knocks because the only thing that they really know how to do is to perform. And they know how to sing, but they don't know the intricacies of the business. And you learn that by bumping your head. That's
perfectly correct. That's absolutely right. Now, let me tell you about the day and years. I went downtown to Mercury Records, 35 East Wacker Drive, and I spoke to the A&R department. I played in the record Magic Moonlight. They loved it. They told me to come back in a week or so and bring the disc in. We were going to send us in the studio to record. So we went in the studio and recorded Magic Moonlight. And I think it sold about 10 copies that I know of. And the rest of the copies, I think we had our friends to buy it, but it's a complete flop. Now I still got the Impressions on the other hand. By the way, the Shapery, I never took anything to the Shapery. I passed on that. I wasn't going to take a chance on that. But the Impressions, we had a song that I loved that they performed. I thought it was an instant hit. It's called For Your Precious Love. Okay?
My goodness.
That's right. That was a song. Now, I took them to several companies trying to get a contract. We went to King Records at first, and I spoke to Ralph Bass, A&R director. He passed on it, said he had Hank Bell and the Midnighters and James Brown. That was enough for him. And then I went to Chess Records. Chess Records had Ramsey Lewis. They had Billy Stewart, Anna James. They had a big roster. They didn't need another group. So naturally, across the street was a company called VJ Records. I went, knocked on the door, Curtis and I, all the group, and I told them we had a record and wanted them to listen to it. I played the tape for them. He said, well, let's do it live. So we brought our guitars up and all our equipment, amplifiers, and we did Sweet Was the Wine first. They liked that. But when we did For Your Precious Love, strictly a home run.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And within a week we had contracts. Within another week we were in the studio recording For Your Precious Love.
How about that? That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now
I got kicked into the music business, and I'm learning with Hard Knocks. Every time I get hit by a ball, I'm learning something new.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And we've got a very good friend of yours coming up in just shortly. But in the meantime, don't go away. We'll be right back after this stop on the Underground Railroad. Good. Clio Exchange Express and the Underground Railroad tour is leaving the station. Next stop, Tabor, Iowa, and the Tabor Anti-Slavery Historical District. The town of Tabor in southwestern Iowa played a significant role in the 1850s as a center for the Western anti-slavery movement. Tabor found itself in a strategic position to impact the future of slavery in the West. The town was officially established in 1858, but was first settled in 1852 by George Gaston, a Congregationalist missionary, and Reverend John Todd, a graduate of Oberlin Theological Seminary in Ohio. Reverend Gaston donated land, which became the central location where anti-slavery residents came to air their opposition to the flagrant sin of slavery. Reverend Todd provided his home as a significant hub on the Underground Railroad in western Iowa. He often preached of the paradox of slavery in a free society. The Tabor Anti-Slavery Historic District is located in the center of Tabor, Iowa, and is now named Tabor City Park. The Todd House is located in the historic district and is open to the public by appointment. This is Lou Phillips. Join us again next time on the Underground Railroad tour of the Clio Exchange Express. Well, that was a great discussion leading up to Your Precious Love. And Eddie, Rudy Rollins has been obviously very instrumental in getting you to the microphone. And
are you kidding? Rudy is everything.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And Rudy, what is your question for Eddie?
Eddie, how you doing, man?
Yes, sir. What you say?
I got tears in my eyes. Listen, man, when I was 19, and I was having my second child, when my girlfriend was having our second child, it was a song, Coffee, by Otis Redding. And we used to sit up, and that was a favorite song by Otis. And I remember reading the album cover, and it says, E. Thomas. Had no idea who it was until years later I found out you wrote it as a poem. What inspired you to song that?
What inspired me to do what now? I thought there's a little echo in your voice, so the words sound a little muffled a little bit.
Mr. Thomas, he was saying, what inspired you to write the poem Cigarettes and Coffee?
Oh, okay. We jumped on the tour now. I'm on the tour with Otis Redding, Jerry Butler, and a couple other people that are famous. At that time, I was working for Jerry Butler. I was his private valet, chauffeur, and all the time, all around, as you say, flunky.
For Jerry Butler?
That's right. I worked for Jerry Butler. I was his chauffeur. You see, when Jerry Butler left the Impressions starved for a couple of years. We had a couple of rough times. So I asked Jerry, I said, you need a driver? I heard your driver just quit. He said, you wouldn't mind doing that? I said, no, I haven't got no pride. Are you kidding? My job was to survive. So he took me in as his personal chauffeur and valet, and I did everything, go to the store and take his wife to the washroom. I did everything under the sun. Oh, yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but I was the valet and chauffeur for Jerry Butler.
Well, you know, Eddie, I like the way during that time when you were working with Jerry, how you turned that into your advantage by meeting disc jockeys and making lots and lots of contacts that served well.
I wasn't going to be a dummy out there, and that was my job permanently. I knew that I could utilize traveling and utilize going to the radio stations and et cetera, because we have a group at home that's going to need all that help, and that's the Impression, standing by. So I went to Philadelphia, went to WDAS, WHAT, and all the stations by heart. I'm kidding. I know Georgia Woods, Sir Lancelot, all the guys. And what I did, I would tell Jerry, I said, I'm taking your record to the radio station, for Your Precious Love, like they're not playing it. But I get up early in the morning and hang out with those jocks. And I did that everywhere we went on tour. I went to the radio station. I got to know a lot of guys, Baltimore, Washington, Philadelphia, New York, down south, wherever they were, I was at the radio station. Atlanta, Georgia, knocking on the door, WAOK.
Oh, yeah.
Great experience. Great experience for me. But it paid off big time.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, listen, it's 7:25, and we've got a caller already on the line, so let me bring in a caller from Arizona, Mr. Earl Cobb. Hello, Earl.
Okay.
Hello.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing very well. I tell you, I am just really enjoying this show. And Mr. Thomas, what a pleasure to have the opportunity to listen to you.
It's my pleasure because
it is.
I feel that my life has been long and it's continued to be long, and that's why God has kept me here, so that I can lift people up, I can inspire them. These things are important to us and to our race, and we need that all the time. So it's my pleasure, and whatever I can do or say or whatever it is you need, call upon me, and I'll be there.
That's terrific. Well, the question I had is, I grew up in a little town in South Georgia, and I remember the first time my parents bought us. Well, we used to listen to this radio show that came on from Nashville and didn't come on till late at night. Like Jerry's, or yeah. And that was how, when it's in the 50s, right? When
sure.
we heard any of the music, okay?
John
And
Allen.
Yeah.
John Allen and Hawk Allen.
Yep, that's right. And I remember the very first records that we got that were, they called them a 6-pack, and they have 645s. And we saved up all year to buy this 6-pack, and I tell you, it just still resonates in me. And then when I go to college and hear people like the Whispers and got all in the Donny Hathaway, the question is, looking at it from today, okay, and just looking back on not only the artists, but the system that they had to come up with, it just seems like back then, even though the system was harder, it took more struggle. Seems like there was many more artists that seemed to have the heart and soul and the connection of particular African Americans at that time. Right now, I don't see that. I see the few billionaires that get pinged on the head and say, you're going to be it, but they're not reaching the majority of our people, in my sense. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think you're right on target. And you got to remember, back in the day, there were a lot of things that were contributing to this, what you're speaking of. We had radio stations that played our music, in a big-time way. We had record stores, record shops, mamas and papas, the little stores, the little guys playing our music. So our music had great exposure, you follow me, in order for it to be heard. So you can't go to a record shop now. Tell me what record shop you're going to go and hear a new artist, a new record. Where are you going to go now? It don't exist. It's non-existent. Times change, unfortunately. These things happen. That's where you get the old day and the old school and the new day and the new school. It's a big difference. You got a few big stars out there, and to try and get it started now is a whole new world, because where do you go with it to get started?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yep.
Big difference, night and day.
Yep. Very good.
Very good. Well, Earl, thank you so much for calling in. And Mr. Thomas, I've got a question for you. Just thinking about all of that creative spirit that you had at Curtom, and especially in the writing and arranging area. And my interest has to do with there must have been tension between two talents like Curtis Mayfield and Donny Hathaway. Did you? And therefore, it seems like you were the oil that stayed between those two pistons to keep them pumping.
Well, it didn't take very long to break them up, because what happened, when you got two superstars, Donny Hathaway is a superstar all by himself. It's a package ready to go anytime. Mm-hmm. Curtis Mayfield has the same ingredients. So when you put these two heavyweights together in the boxing ring, it's hard to say who's the winner. Mm-hmm. And Donny felt that he needed to make a move, that he could do his own thing. And I didn't disagree with him at all. So he went to New York and got started, and bingo, it happened. Curtis, they couldn't do things together, collaborate, because they just got too many ideas and thoughts on how this should go and this should go. Curtis thought this one, Donny said no, like this. So they had to separate in order to keep their own thing going properly.
Right.
I wanted to back up, because that reminded me of the breakup of Jerry Butler leaving the Impressions. And the story has been told that when the record was released, it came out as Jerry Butler and the Impressions.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You see, VJ, let me say this to you. VJ Records had Jerry Butler in their eyesight totally after they heard him singing. They thought of Roy Hamilton and what a great singer Jerry was, what he could be as an individual soloist. So they went back in the room and made their plans. So when they put the record together, the first record they put out, they had the Impressions, some big letters, just the Impressions on VJ. And they said, well, no, we got better ideas than this. Let's do this. Went back in the studio, pressed up a different record, put it on the subsidiary label called Abner. Abner was the president of the company at that time. And they put Jerry Butler in huge letters that you couldn't miss. If you were blind, you could see it. And you put the Impressions in magnifying letters. You had to get a magnifying glass to see the name.
Well, Eddie, what effect, Eddie, did that have internally with the group when they saw those?
I'm getting that. I'm on my way there. Okay, when they did that, we knew what the deal was. And then they got Jerry to the side and said, hey, you be with us. We'll sign you individually. We'll give you a brand new car, put a couple of bucks in your pocket. And can you imagine what that sounds like to a kid who's living in Cabrini Green, 1117 North Cleveland? Okay, let's give him $2,000 and put it in his pocket and give him a brand new white Mercury. I never forget that. Goodbye, Curtis. Goodbye, Bob. What happened was, sometimes, my mother always told me, when you dig a ditch, you better dig two. So they got Jerry Butler, but the main person that put out, not me, I wasn't the main person. I was just a subsidiary of the Impressions, but the main person was Curtis Mayfield. When they threw him out with me and Arthur and Brooks, that was it. So they had Jerry Butler, and it took us a little while to get back on the feet. That's how I ended up driving for Jerry Butler and et cetera, et cetera. And when his guitar player quit, I called Phil Upchurch to come in and play for Jerry. So Phil Upchurch, myself, and Jerry Butler, and me going to the radio station, meeting disc jockeys, and that's how I got my hand into the promotion business.
Now, is it true, Eddie, that when the Impressions were elected into the Hall of Fame, that they wouldn't, the Brooks brothers wouldn't sit with the rest of the guys?
No, because the Brooks brothers had left a long time prior to that. They left right after we started on our own. They left right away. So we had to go back and get one of the roosters, I say, because he was still there in Chattanooga, Tennessee, named Fred Cash. So Fred Cash came with the group, and that made the trio, Fred, Sam, and Curtis. And that was the Impression.
Beautiful. That's a great story. Rudy, let's see if your mic is working any better this time. What do you got?
Well, I got so many stories to ask Eddie, but here's one for you, Eddie. What was your connection between Don Cornelius of the Soul Train fame?
Oh, Don Cornelius was an icon. Oh, I love that man. And I miss him today. He's such a great guy. He's just a great person. And I was so happy to see him leave VON and go up to greater heights. We started out Soul Train in Chicago at the Board of Trade Building, 141 West Jackson. We started out on a small level. And I'm sitting here as you speak. I'm sitting here looking at John Cornelius, Curtis, and Tyrone Davis, and three at the standing, and the kneeling. That's Eddie Thomas kneeling and George Williams right beside me. I can't believe, as I look at this picture, I look at it every day, that they're all gone. All four of them are gone. I'm the last man standing, as the song says.
Yeah.
But that's how we started in Chicago, got it going down, made a big tape and took it to Los Angeles, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you're talking about the last man standing. How young are you now?
83.
How about that? That's a wonderful blessing. I'm pushing it up a little bit because my birthday comes up on the 5th of November. So I might as well be 83, but I'm 82 factually, but I'll be 83 November 5th. Yeah, beautiful. That's beautiful. And as you were talking before about the absence of the record shops and those places in the community where the people could
huge factor.
Yes, sir.
Huge factor. No question about it. You can't find no stores all gone. Evaporated.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and how can I get started? Unless you get lucky on the internet and get a tune, go to CD Baby or someplace, and then you got to get somebody to listen to it. How they gonna listen to it? You got to get exposure some kind of way. So it's a whole new ball game getting started out here now.
Yeah. And the point I was going to make was that kind of explains how the separation or the inability for some of the megastars now to really have compassion for the people, because in those record shops, the people could come in off the street and meet a lot of those stars, couldn't they?
That's correct. That's correct. Now, in Chicago, we got one store that does that. That's the Hyde Park Music Store in Hyde Park. That's the only store that you can go in that they got the Dusties, the oldies, and they got some current stuff. The only store in Chicago that you can go to with an artist and try and help him some kind of way get it started. That you know you can find some oldies and Dusties, and there are maybe some current music, but that's one store in the city.
Yeah, that's a sad commentary about not only the inability for the lofty stars to have a direct impact on the communities, but in these troubled times, it's impossible to get them to be considerate about anything that's outside of making another mega hit.
You're right on target. Right on. It's the unfortunate part. I tell everybody that wants to get into the music business, first of all, make sure you have a job, a good job, okay? That you can count on and depend on, okay? That will put bread on the table. Because don't depend upon nothing else. Now, in your spare time, you can fool around with records, and maybe send this in to this company, or send this in to this company, some companies that are doing well on the internet, or whatever. You can try and fool around with it, but that's the way you do that. Make sure you keep that job first, last, and always.
Yeah. So you don't get into a desperate situation, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What happened? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I said otherwise you'll be hungry all the time.
That's exactly right. And you'll be susceptible to being misused and abused.
Yeah, and you end up in jail probably.
Yeah. What happened? What happened in the as Curtom began to mature? What was the driving force that caused you guys to move on to other things?
Well, let me say this. Curtis met a gentleman from north side of Chicago. He was the manager of one of the artists that we had on our record, Curtom Records, Baby Huey and the Babysitters. This gentleman's name was Marv Stewart.
Okay.
Marv Stewart was the guy that would do anything and everything wrong, right, and in between. It doesn't matter to him to get over. And I know he had some habits that I wouldn't tell you about, that Curtis wouldn't tell you about, but Curtis got hooked on some of the things that he was into. They got real tight. And I told Curtis at a meeting we had, I said, you know what, we can hire him, put him on a salary. We don't have to give him a big position, vice president of the company, to come in. But he had sold Curtis on that whole concept. So I told Curtis that, well, if you want to go with Marv, fine. So Marv and him went up north. I stayed on the south side of Chicago, and God was with me every step of the way. We come up with all kinds of things to do. An organization to form. We had a record pool called the Dogs War, 400 members that became nationwide and known. We come up with other artists, Cash McCall. I mean, then we come up with the Independence. We had a lot of stuff. Lord just blessed me tremendous. I can't tell you how much it is. So I never regretted that. Now I told Curtis, I said, listen, now you got that big record up there. You need some help. He said, yeah, would you do that? I said, sure. Send me some copies to my office. I was doing independent promotion on the side.
Okay.
So I got some super flyers and sent it to some of my jocks. And so, hey, I don't mind working with you as long as you're paying me.
There are no permanent enemies in business, huh?
That's for sure. That's how you got to look at it. You take that way.
Yeah. George, were you trying to say something?
Oh, I was about to say that I was surprised to learn of your involvement with the Independents. They've always been one of my favorite groups, and I didn't realize you were involved with them.
Well, I'll give you a little tip right now. Right this minute, we are reorganizing the Independents. Right now, right today, okay? October 17th or 8th, whatever the day it is, we reorganize them. We're coming back. Okay, I got Maurice, who is the oldest member of the group. We get more new faces in there, and we're gonna come back. So they'll be back in about. Give me a little while now. I'm 2 or 3 more months. They'll be on the scene. I'm promise you that. That's right.
So there may be snow on the mountain, but there's still fire in the furnace, huh?
That's correct. And they got the name. See, that's the good part. You know, you don't come up with the name of Zip Zop Zam and without recognition. And people will recognize the name. They'll recognize Maurice and recognize the material, the music. Hey, we're on our way.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And
you guys are getting a hot tip off the press for sure today, because nobody knows that. I'm giving you exclusive on that.
Well, thanks for the scoop. Rudy, you got anything?
Now, I'm just enjoying the conversations, man, because there's so much between Eddie and I. He talked about the Dogs of War, and I remember I was on the ground floor of that, and what a great idea it was, because we broke a lot of artists, man. We had a repertoire, probably 100, 500, I don't know, DJs nationwide, and they would give us feedback, and that's how we broke records. The first record was Peter Brown, Eddie? First gold record?
Correct. That's correct. That's correct. It was a great organization. We had so much fun, and we had a mixture of white, Chinese, Japanese, all kind of guys in a record pool that spin records. We had a great organization, and I can't tell you, we had artists to come in at our meetings and speak. Barry White came in, Nancy Wilson came in here, Peter Brown came in from Florida, and we made a lot of noise. We broke a lot of records. We started Peter Brown's record from Henry Stone, who was a big man in Florida, on Tone Records. Do You Want to Get Funky With Me? That was his first 12-inch gold record, first one ever. Do You Want to Get Funky With Me? And Barry White was like a brother to me. I loved him. I missed him. I'm telling you, we had talking about being close to each other. We were close to the artists, and the artists were close to us. Donna Summers, the Bee Gees, of course. I had a call from RSO Records. I think they wanted somebody to promote the Bee Gees on the R and the B side. They had pop side going, but they wanted to get some soul music, on the soul sale. So they sent the Bee Gees to us, and we started playing the funky side, of the Bee Gees had. And that they sold another million because of that. So it was a great thing we had going, and I'm just so. It keeps me alive, just thinking about how wonderful it was. We had a great bunch of staff guys working with us. I can't tell you how wonderful it was.
That's beautiful.
Also,
that's beautiful.
What you guys don't know that we did, we had our own. Rudy didn't tell you. He should have told you. We had our own limousine service.
Oh yeah,
is that right?
We figured we had all the contacts with the record company. So why can artists come to Chicago riding our limousine? So we started a limousine service, Talked to Barry Gordy. He said, I'll send it to you. Since we're in direct contact with the companies because they send us product to us, so why not send the artists to us also that come to Chicago for whatever they need, promotion-wise, visits, or whatever. So we started our own limousine service, got some limousines, and we had another negative going for earning money and hiring people and give them a job.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And I tell you, Mr. Thomas, as we're starting to wind down, you've mentioned the name of God several times during the course of this conversation, and it really touched me a lot. And so I just feel a need to ask you to talk about what role God and Christ has played in making you who you are. As an octogenarian.
Every way, every direction you can name, he's right there always. Because I think God said to me, I want you to be on my staff, stay there and take care, pass around the good things that I need to know. People need to know. Help all you can, show your love, and show them what love is all about. I'm a part of him, working for him.
Yes, sir.
He's just done so much for me, and he's keeping me day by day. So I know that I'm doing the right thing, and I know he's in my side, on my corner. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I can tell you guys got some big hearts. I can feel some of your hearts coming through here. The love that you have for each other is just wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, it touches me just to listen to you talk and you ask questions, and you're very, very inquisitive. It's just beautiful to have this show. I'm very pleased with it. I'm so glad that you guys called on me to do it because I'm thankful.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. We were just humbled to have the opportunity to sit at your feet. And as we begin to wind down, I think rather than have each of us make a comment about this experience, after you've hung up, we're going to do it while you're on the line. Rudy, you want to make a comment too?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think about the limousine. I used to drive her for the limousine service. I just want to say this, man. The man I met in 1975 when I moved to Chicago, I had no idea what a man and a friend I would have for all of these years. And Eddie, from the bottom of my heart, man, I truly mean you are truly one of my friends, man. And God bless you, and give me to my love.
Well, that goes double because you captured my heart the day we even shook hands. I felt it. You know, sometimes hearts communicate with one another. You ever go someplace, walk into their home, you feel a warmth.
Yeah.
I felt in your presence, I felt that warmth. And that's the same way I'm feeling now talking to you guys. You know, Lou and George and Rudy, you guys just like I've been knowing you for years and years and years. Beautiful. I'm relaxed and just sitting back enjoying this whole affair, and I can't thank you enough.
All right. How about you, George?
Well, that Eddie is an amazing person. It's an honor to just hear him talk about his experience in the music business. And I would just like to ask you, Eddie, what are your thoughts about the industry today, and what advice can you give to a young person who wants to become, a record maker? You
must have missed when I told you to keep that job. First of all, that's the first thing we got to do. Don't you dare leave that job going looking for hope. Because hope ain't out there. Morgan Freeman said in that movie, hope, what is hope? Are you kidding? No. It's out there for you, but unless someone is there pushing you or you got a contact, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and they got a contact for you and they can get you in the door. That's what you're going to need to get into the door because the music, no matter how great it is, people don't hear it, they can't buy it, they don't know about it. So you sit and plan it for yourself, You've got to have a contact or somebody in direct source of where you want to go and get you in the door. Otherwise, you make sure you stay on that side that paycheck's coming to you every week, and you do that on the sideline. It's there, but it's the bottom is so flooded now. It's just flooded at the bottom. The top is just a few.
Yeah,
so it's a big difference.
Well, that's beautiful, and Ms. Thomas, I just want to thank you once again for being a part of the show and for giving us an opportunity to once again sit at your feet. We had the pleasure of doing that once before in Chicago, and to be able to do it again, I consider it a real blessing.
Well, I'll say this to you: make sure, George, if you come to Chicago, and Lou, make sure Rudy knows where headquarters is. He knows where to come. But you guys, Rudy, make sure they get my address and phone number and email address so the communication lines will stay alive. And when you come to Chicago, I'd love to have you personally as my guest.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we'll be praying that God continue to fill your life with His grace and mercy, and hopefully we can get you back again to tell a little bit more about your story, because we just barely scratched the surface.
Well, one thing, I'm an easy guy to work with because you can get my head underneath the door. Your door, that's small.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, again,
my
sir.
head and my pride, I have no problem because I realize that's being humble and being just a regular person is what keeps you, and that's why I know I'm on God's team.
We'll let him know that.
Okay, guys.
All right,
sir. Thank you so much. I mean, God bless you all,
Bless you as well.
And you.
Man, that was beautiful, wasn't it?
Ooh, that was fantastic.
That was what a wonderful experience. What a wonderful stop on the Clio Exchange Express. What do you think?
Wonderful, man.
Yeah.
Home run.
What did you pick up anything new on this discussion with him, Rudy and George?
Well, for me, the thing that I picked up on that I didn't know about him was his involvement with the Independents.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize he had an involvement with them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, I tell you, man, it was just, as we said at the end there, just touching the surface, and we certainly got to try to get him back again. Well, guys, it seems we've come to the end of another journey on the Clio Exchange Express, and we're obviously very thankful for those who joined us through the listening audience, and hope you enjoyed the ride as well. And, I do have one last funny for you guys to take a shot at, okay?
All right.
Let me ask you this. What do you call a pig that loves karate?
A pig who loves karate. A pork chop.
You got it.
Okay, the conductor is telling us it's time to move on. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Let us know by sending an email to info@clioexchange-express.com. That's info@clioexchange-express.com. Until next time, we wish you peace of mind, love from the heart, and happiness you cannot explain.